Hello everyone, good morning. How are you guys doing today? It's been a long time since I'm talking to you, like 5 days gap. So it's been the longest gap since I ever started live streaming. So good to see you back. How are you guys doing? Can you guys hear me loud and clear? Let me know in the chat. Thank you everyone. So we'll start. So I'm on NASDAQ US100 and you can see that we have an inversion from weekly chart and price came up, hit this inversion, then broke down towards the sell side, came up again, took liquidity from this swing high, right? And then it's dropping again. So what I'm expecting to see a drop below these relative equal lows and a tap into this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency from the daily chart. On the daily chart, if I take you guys in the daily chart, that's our daily fair value gap. Okay, so that's what I'm targeting today. I want to see a drop below here. That's what makes sense to me. And inside this fair value gap, daily fair value gap, we have this 4-hour BC that is unfilled. So unfilled fair value gaps are powerful. Always remember that. Price will hunt two things always: liquidity and fair value gap. So if a fair value gap is unfilled like this, it attracts price most. So to me, it makes sense if I see a drop here. That's what I'm expecting to see, but maybe not today, but this week I'm expecting to see a drop here. Then price can go towards the buy side. And if I drop down to the hourly chart, you can see price took the buy side liquidity from this swing high. Our higher time frame breaker block is in these down close candles, but price is still not there, so we'll not consider these candles as our breaker block. Rather, we'll consider these candles, these down close candles, as our breaker block. Why? Higher high, new higher high. So these down close candles becomes our breaker block. Okay, I see some of you marking this candle as your breaker block. It's okay, but your high probability setup will form from these down close candles. Why HYDRA you are considering these down close candles as high probability? Why not these ones? Because this candle is the main source of swing. Okay, this is the main swing high. Inside this swing, this is the swing high. Okay, so this is not a major swing high. This swing high didn't broke the last swing high. That's the reason I'm considering this swing high as my major high probability breaker block. And you can see the price clearly closed the candle's body below this breaker block at 5 o'clock. Then try at the second candle, as I teach you guys that look for entry at the second candle once price closes this candle's body below. Okay, it's for the swing traders. Me, I'm a scalper, so I don't hold trades for this long. What I'm gonna do is, like, if I see a breaker block setup on higher time frame, like 4 hour, 1 hour, and price is like price close the candle's body below the higher time frame breaker block, I'll drop down to like 3 minute and then 1 minute chart, and there I will execute. There I will only target 2 hour, which is like very low. So it's for those who are like holding their trades for a long term, who are like swing traders. You can also execute by using higher time frame breaker blocks. Okay, you can see that clearly at the second candle price came up, hit this breaker block perfectly, generated relative equal high. So what does it mean? It means strong level of liquidity. Okay, so price will reverse. I'm not expecting a long drop. Rather, I'm expecting to see price going below these relative equal lows. Okay, that's the high probability target. This 4-hour fair value gap is the low probability target. Okay, I'm expecting to see price dropping here as this fair value gap is unfilled from the 4-hour chart. Okay, but my high probability target will be these relative equal lows, and you can see that I marked a BPR here. It's not visible on the hourly chart, but it is on the daily. Sorry, from where did I mark it? Okay, so from the 4-hour chart. I marked it wrong. It's from the 4-hour. So why is it a BPR? A fair value gap here, a fair value gap here. So price has a fair value gap in both sides. Okay, and you can see the price came up, hit this BPR perfectly, then drop down, right? So this small movement here can make you profitable on lower time frame. That's the reason I always take consideration if I see a breaker block, sorry, an inversion and a BPR. Okay, so suppose there's no fair value gap right next to it, then this fair value gap will become an inversion. When there's a fair value gap right next to it, okay, we'll consider it as a BPR. When price has two fair value gaps like this next to each other, that becomes a balanced price range when price delivers both sides of the liquidity, buy side and sell side. And you can see price delivered sell side, buy side, now buy side, sell side again. So I want to see price retracing from this BPR. Okay, I was expecting to see this run that you see happening at 8:30, but it happened early. When I take you onto the US30 chart, it will make more sense to you. Here this setup is too clean, right? Like that's a very clean breaker block setup, and I shared with you all on Telegram when this candle opened. Okay, when this candle was here, I shared with you target was this BPR, then this fair value gap, equal lows. Okay, that was our target. So that's my bias. I want to see till 11 o'clock price delivering towards the sell side. Okay, at least hitting my target here. That's what I'm expecting to see on NASDAQ. So that's the whole bias for my AM session, bearish. And on Dow, okay, I can also see a breaker block setup. I'm on the hourly chart on Dow US30, and you can see the price made a higher high, new higher high. Okay, then this down close candle right here becomes our breaker block. So what I was expecting to see when I shared this analysis on Telegram, this candle opened and it was like offering buy side liquidity. So I was expecting to see a hit on this breaker again, like around 8:20 to 8:30, and then I could have taken a short because we had like relative equal lows here, then this low here. That makes it a relative equal low. Okay, so now the price is delivering this equal low early. Okay, I'm not gonna take any more trades from this breaker block. Okay, if price is going towards the buy side, it will not respect this breaker block. If it's respecting, we'll see like a small run towards the sell side, not as large movement with a high volume like this. Okay, I'm not expecting that. We have a fair value gap here. I'm on hourly chart, so that's an hourly fair value gap. So let's see what price does. Okay, so I'm just gonna mark this hourly fair value gap and we'll measure this once price gets inside of this. Okay, and if price is still consolidating here, I will drop down to like the 3-minute and 1-minute chart, and I'll target this low and like the upper quadrant of this fair value gap or the midway of this fair value gap. Okay, so that's the whole analysis, that's the whole bias. I want to see US30 delivering towards the sell side, and now that US30 will take this low, it's obvious that US30 will take it. Okay, price can reverse from here. So what's the logic behind me expecting a lot more bearish price action? Okay, for that I will have to take you guys on US500. What do you guys see? Relative equal lows here again. Okay, higher high. Okay, my US500 chart is a bit messier because I mostly don't focus on this chart. This chart moves together with Dow. They move together. If you are trading on Dow like me, then you should always keep in mind, look at US500 or ES, whatever you like. They move together. Okay, and they provide like extra confidence in your trade. Like see here, that's the same price action that we are watching on US30. Okay, So that's how I'm building my narrative. As price didn't took this low on ES, I'm expecting to see a run here, and then I'm expecting to see a run in this hourly fair value gap. Okay, hourly BC that we have here, and this is a consolidation phase, so price can go below this low right here and hit this hourly fair value gap again. So that's my analysis on ES. That's what I'm expecting to see, and yeah, that's it. So let's drop down to let's go back to US30. Now I'm gonna drop down to like a 3-minute chart, and we will look for setup from here. We are getting inside of our macro. Okay, I didn't talk about dollar. Let's talk about dollar. On dollar, you can see we have relative equal high, a BC here that is supporting price, and I'm expecting to see a support from this BC, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. It's a positive fair value gap, so I'm expecting to see a run here. So if dollar is moving towards the buy side, what can we expect to see on indices? A run on sell side, but not for long. Okay, dollar can reverse from here, which is this equal high is inside a daily fair value gap, so keep that in mind. Price can come up, hit the upper quadrant of this daily fair value gap, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. That's a CB, that's a negative fair value gap that will provide support for price towards the sell side liquidity. Okay, so price can reverse from here. That's the reason I'm only expecting to see a run on our unfilled fair value gap on indices. Okay, I hope it's clear. And if dollar is dropping from after taking out liquidity from here, we can expect to see a run into this volume imbalance. It's visible on the daily chart. Is it a volume imbalance or okay, so it's not a volume imbalance, it's a new day opening gap. So we can expect to see a run into this new day opening gap if price is dropping. Okay, ideal scenario for me to expect a drop will be after price takes out this relative equal high from here. That will be ideal place for me to look for shorts on dollar. So that's the whole analysis on dollar. I hope you find it useful. If not, rely on your own analysis. Let's go back to our own chart, and this price is trend looking good. Okay, as long as it's moving towards the buy side, I can expect to see a short on lower time frame. Okay, we have a new day opening gap here, right here, a new day opening gap. And now I'm gonna drop down to the 5-minute chart and we will look for setup. Keep in mind that we have PMI at, let's look for the time, at 9:45. There's like two news: flash manufacturing PMI, then flash service PMI. Okay, these two are high impact news but tradable. PMI is not like CPI or other news. It's high impact but it's tradable. So let's see if price present us a setup at 9:20 to 9:30. We'll take it. If not, we'll wait for our 9:50 macro to start, which will be after the news. Okay, so we'll have to be patient today, the rest of the week, because whole week we have high impact news. Wednesday FOMC meetings at 2 o'clock, so before that we may find setup or may not. Thursday we have 8:30 news. After that we can trade. 10 o'clock news, doesn't matter. Friday 8:30 news. So yeah, high impact news throughout the week, but tradable, no CPI and all that, like crazy high impact news. So it's tradable. This week is tradable. So let's see, and we'll do it live. Okay, the people who doubt like how can you trade in a high impact news, I'm not gonna be pushing button in the news release, but after that I'll do that. So yeah, you will see. Look at the relative equal low. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop down. I'm on 50-minute chart. There's a volume imbalance that I see. So let's see if price hits it or not. And we are inside of our macro. Keep that in mind. 8:20 to 8:30. That's our first macro. Okay, that's the inversion right here. A lot of people ask like, Hydra, how do you mark the correct inversion? There's a lot I can see here, here, here. What makes sense to you? Okay, it's not like when I was inversion like this. When I was a beginner, I was marking everything. Okay, for like months I was doing that. So you will have to be patient. It's not something that I can teach you. You'll have to get it from your own experience, and you will see it. Okay, just like I found it, no one taught me that this is the inversion that you should look at, not this one or this one or this volume imbalance. Okay, so something that comes from experience. Once you get used to looking at your own chart, you will understand which inversion of fair value gap price will respect. So that's the volume imbalance, and you can see price is coming up and hitting it. So let's drop down to the lower time frame, and if I measure the swing from this high to this low, okay, premium will come somewhere here. So ideal scenario for us to look for short will be from this inversion. Okay, for those who are still struggling to find out the inversion, I'll give you a tip, and it's an effective tip. The tip is like mark only the inversion in the current price swing. Okay, that's the current price swing that we are trading on. And what's the inversion here? That's the inversion. So only look at your chart like this. That's the inversion you can mark. And if price is coming up and hitting this inversion, there will be also price will also be hitting our mitigation block. That is here. Okay, this low right here is our mitigation block. So I'm now gonna drop down to like 3-minute and 1-minute chart. And 1-minute chart, you can see that price left this volume imbalance unfilled. But anyway, we would like to see price coming back up, hitting this inversion. That will be ideal scenario for me to short, as we have relative equal highs here. So price will be clearing out relative equal highs, and it will have left all these relative equal lows. Okay, so 8:30, I'm expecting to see a run on sell side. If not, if price is not doing that, it's okay. We have another macro that starts from 9:20 to 9:30. So be patient. There's no FOMO, nothing like that. A breaker block setup will always be there. Okay, the folks, when I first started sharing the breaker block setup on Twitter, very few people believed me when I tell them like it forms every day. And people got confused, like if it's forming every day, can you trade it? That's the real part. Okay, that's something comes with experience. You will see breaker block everywhere, every day, every single time it forms. But the real question is, can you trade it? Not every breaker block is tradable because of the high impact news and all the other scenarios. You will also have to see how the price action is moving. If the price action is in a high resistance liquidity run, then you should not take the breaker block setup. Okay, so you will see the breaker block every day non-stop, but not every breaker block is tradable. Not every day is tradable. Keep that in mind. And I'm showing it to you here. Yesterday I showed it to you. I did a tape reading session on Telegram, and you saw it. I called the market with two setup outside of our macro. Okay, you are used to see breaker block inside of our macro, but outside of our macro there's also breaker block that forms. You can take those. It's nothing like the you should be bound with macro timing, but what's the benefit of using macro? It builds the patience. Okay, once you have that, you can go ahead and trade in other breaker block setup that is like outside of our macro. So you can do that, but that will require like experience from your part. So there's no breaker block that I see. I do see this mitigation block. So if price is going below that, we will look for a trade idea. That's the mitigation block on the 1-minute time frame. On 1 minute, you can see a lot of relative equal highs. Okay, so price will reverse after taking out these relative equal lows. or you can just deliver towards the buy side, and then like at 9:20 to 9:30 we can see a reversal. So me, when I'm trading, I'm not completely relying on the bias. I'm relying on the higher time frame narrative. Where higher time frame taking me? I'm not strictly, okay, I'm not gonna be buying here. So that's my strict bias, but I'll look for short from once price goes above in this. If price is still delivering buy side liquidity, like suppose price came up here, then I'll still look for short as I have a target. I'm not gonna buy anywhere until price takes out these relative equal lows. Okay, so that's my bias. I'm not like the people who change their bias. My analysis relies on the higher time frame. The narrative comes from higher time frame, and the execution happens on 3-minute, 1-minute chart based on the narrative from the higher time frame. Okay. So on my group, I see a lot of people trading breaker block as a pattern. And if you are doing that, it will be very, very hard for you to find success with breaker block. Okay, at first you'll have to build a narrative from the higher time frame. Once you have that, a setup is easy. On 3-minute chart, you can see that that's a CB and that's our inversion. So I'm expecting to see a drop from here. Let's see what price does, and relative equal highs. Let's see if price takes this out or not. It's 8:29. We do have our, is it a breaker? Is it a clean breaker block? Well, I see an inversion, a fair value gap here. So if this fair value gap is failing, I can use it as an inversion. Here, breaker block is not clean on like 1-minute chart, even on 3-minute chart it's not clean. Price took the equal high. So what I wanna see is price going below this fair value gap. Okay, then I can use this fair value gap as inversion, and I can target the relative equal lows that we have down below. So the trade idea will be something like this: a stop loss. Where can we put our stop loss? Stop loss here, and target will be these lows down. So let's wait. It's not, price didn't confirm us that it wanna respect our analysis yet, so I'm still gonna wait. I'm still gonna wait to see price closing a candle body below this fair value gap, and then at the next candle I'll look for the setup. Okay, that's the idea for a short. Wow, this is like way too volatile. Yeah, so I think price will just clear out this relative equal lows without taking us. If I'm pushing the button here, okay, my trade will not execute. It will execute somewhere here. A lot of risk, so I'm letting this trade go. There will be a lot of setup. No FOMO. Okay, don't push the button, don't take the risk. If you're pushing the button here, where will you put the stop loss? But the whole trade idea, okay, look at the narrative that I built it. The whole narrative was so precise. Look at the inversion that I marked. Price came up, filled this inversion, then dropped down. Okay, I was watching this 3-minute fair value gap too, but where's the precision from the inversion? You can tell me like a HYDRA price reversed from this 3-minute fair value gap, so why are you considering this inversion? Look at these candles. Where did they stop in this inversion? From this inversion from 15-minute. Okay, so inversion is for those who seek precision. If you just want to be a regular ICT trader, then you can rely on the fair value gaps, normal fair value gaps. Okay, you can do that, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you want to know like the exact level from where price will reverse, then yeah, keep using the inversion, and you can see that price hit our entry again. I think I'll take this trade on my demo rather than pushing the button on my live funds. I'll take it on demo, and beautiful rejection from this fair value gap. Sorry, inversion fair value gap. It's an inversion right now, as this, it's a CB. Okay, I'll talk about it. This is a CB. sorry, BC. What's wrong with me? This is a BC, buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, and this BC was supposed to provide support for price towards the buy side, and you can see that it did here. It did here once, right? And then it's rejecting. So that's the reason I'm considering this fair value gap as an inversion. And inversion is powerful, just like BPR. BPR is like, if I have to categorize the fair value gaps based on the power, based on the effectiveness, based on the high probability, then a normal fair value gap will come at the end. Okay, first one will be BPR, second one will be inversion, third one will be like the normal fair value gap. So let's see, price wanna respect our analysis. It generated relative equal low again. Here these levels are relatively equal, so yeah, let's see what price does. And price is consolidating inside this range here, so I'm still gonna wait. And that's a beautiful setup, to be honest. Look at the lows that price is generating again and again. That's the volume imbalance, keep that in mind. Okay, so I want to see price rejecting from this volume imbalance. Our last line of defense will be this BPR right here. If price is going above this BPR, then our whole analysis is wrong. And if price is leaving these relative equal lows, okay, for 930, that will also make a setup. So let's see what price does. Our last line of defense is this BPR up here. So let's see what price does. Yeah, we have news at 9:45. That's the reason I took this trade on demo. Because yeah, you can see that price hit our stop loss. Okay, so why did I took this trade on demo? Because of that, before the high impact news, what price does, it like it generates liquidity, and then at the high impact news it comes down and takes out these relative equal lows and all that stuff. Okay, so our BPR failed, the last line of defense, it failed, and inversion failed. It was a good setup though, in my eyes. It was a good setup, but it wasn't takeable because of the news that we have at 9:45, and you can clearly see the price generated a lot of relative equal lows. So we can expect to see price clearing these relative equal lows inside of our AM session. So right now we'll just have to wait for our next macro to start, and we will watch if there is any setup inside of our next macro or not. And I'm gonna go to NASDAQ. On NASDAQ, what do I see? Our hourly breaker block is still being respected, and at 9:30 we can target this low right here. These two lows are relatively equal. Is there SMT? No, there is no SMT. And you can also see that ES left these relative equal lows, generated relative equal lows. So yeah, I'm expecting to see a run into these lows at PMI. That's what makes sense. So let's see what it does and how it does it. US100 15-minute chart. I do see a fair value gap here. I also see relative equal highs here, relative equal highs, a lot of relative equal highs. So at the news, okay, like at the high peak news, that's what makes me confusing. Price generates a lot of relative equal highs and price takes these highs out at the news impact. So that's the reason our mentor tells us to like not to trade the news days. So we'll be careful, we'll look for setup, but by being careful, and the setup that we think like low probability, we'll take it on demo this week. When there's high impact news, you should take those trades on demo, the trades that you think are like low probability. That's how I do it. I see breaker block forming like it's like 7:20, 7:10, all those other times that are like outside of our macro. What I do that time is like I take most of the trade on my demo account. I don't push the button on my live funds. And yeah, that's how I do it. The setup that I think is like high probability will generate me money with a certain degree of probability. That's the setup that I will take on my live funds. The 830 setup that I talked about here, okay, you saw it like how volatile it was. Right, this was our 830 setup and it failed. Everything fails. Nothing is like a 100% guarantee that it will work. So if it's breaking your heart that this inversion failed, then trading is not for you, to be honest. Price is constantly generating relative equal highs, as you can see, and it's delivering buy side liquidity aggressively, leaving relative equal lows like this on lower time frame plus higher time frame relative equal lows, a lot of relative equal lows. So yeah, I want to see a run towards the sell side from this high to this low. This is our premium level. And our optimal trade entry will be inside this range, 0.6 to 0.79, which comes in inside this fair value gap. So yeah, let's see how price does it. We'll tape read it. Beautiful hit on this in optimal trade entry level, 0.62. Beautiful hit in this 3-minute fair value gap. Look at the retracement after price hit the optimal trade entry level. So nothing is clear here. So let's just wait and see how price does it. And if you are looking at dollar, you can see the price took our relative equal highs that I talked about. Price got support from the hourly BC that I showed you guys. Okay, so that's the dollar chart. That's the hourly fair value gap here, and you can see the price came down, took orders from this hourly fair value gap and came up, cleared out these relative equal highs as I expected. Okay, I told you guys that I want to see price coming up and taking out liquidity from here, and I was building narrative with dollar on indices. Okay, as dollar will move towards the buy side, we can expect to see a run into the sell side on indices, and we had target. That's the reason I pushed the button on demo. Price cleared it. Now I am indecisive in this condition, in this price action. I want to see price would give me a signal that it wanna go short after price closes again this body below this breaker block that it generated here. I don't like this week at all, so price may revisit this week again and fill some gaps inside of this week. So that's our breaker block, and we have target relative equal lows here, low 50-minute unfilled fair value gap, unfilled fair value gap, lows, And I'm expecting to see price revisiting this new day opening gap. On 5-minute chart, that's an order block. That's a bearish order block. So let's see what price does. As the dollar is moving towards the sell side, we can expect to see a certain level of buy side liquidity being delivered on indices. US100. This gray shaded box that you see, it's a BPR from 4-hour chart on Nasdaq. And the retracement, we are seeing retracement from this 4-hour BPR. Higher high, new higher high with relative equal highs. Okay, so if price is closing candles body below this breaker block from 3-minute chart, we can expect to see a run here and ultimately a run below this low. And price is going below our breaker block. So if you measure this breaker block, the 50%, the midway of this breaker block will come somewhere here. That's the reason I'm only gonna consider this candle as my breaker block. Beautiful drop. So let's drop down to the 1-minute chart. Higher high, okay, new higher high here. So that's our stop hunt, or you can say like turtle soup. And this drop is happening, so our target will be this low right here, and the rest we can see. So beautiful drop from our breaker, but it was outside of our macro. So yeah, that's the thing. Target will be these lows down here. Wow, this run is beautiful and it's aggressive. And US30 and US500, they both are like consolidating, chopping around. Look at US30. US30 generated another breaker block here. Higher high, new higher high. This candle becomes our breaker block. So let's see where US30 delivers. I'm expecting to see a delivery below these lows, relative equal lows on US30. So I'll put an alert here and we'll watch US100. So suppose I took this trade, I will take a partial below these relative equal lows. Why? Because if you measure this big wick, the consequent encroachment of this wick will come somewhere here. So yeah, that's a good level in my eyes to take a partial. If I'm using the standard deviation projection, that's how I use it. Sorry, not this one. Yeah, this one. And you can see that our -1 standard deviation comes in here below this low. So I'm expecting to see a run below here. And if price is still delivering towards the sell side, which I'm expecting to see, we can expect to see price delivering -2 standard deviation here. So a lot of questions. Okay, let's look at the chat. Let's answer some questions from the chat. So Chetan is saying, do you use OTE? Yes, I do use optimal trade entry. Chetan is also saying, I'm sorry if you thrown more light on the OTE model of ICT. How do you mark the fibs? I mean, how do you decide the high and low of the fib markers? What do you mean by that? That's my fib setting. If you wanna see the fib setting of OTE, that's the setting. You can screenshot it. That's the whole business here. These levels 0.62 and 0.79, that's our optimal trade entry. Okay, how I use it? That's a good question. I use it just like ICT teaches us. Okay, we don't consider a certain level as optimal trade entry level. Both of these are our optimal trade entry. Okay, it's a optimal trade entry zone, just like a fair value gap. 0.62, 0.79, that's our zone. Okay, so that's how we ICT trader consider optimal trade entry. Retail, they consider only one level, not us. So price delivered -1 standard deviation right here, cleared out this low. I'm still expecting to see a run below this shaded line that you see. That's gonna be this candle's low. Okay, if I'm dropping down to like 50-minute chart, that's our sell side liquidity, which is here. So you can expect to see a drop in this sell side liquidity and in this fair value gap. Just as I told you guys that price is retracing from this breaker block. Okay, so these two levels, this relative equal low, then this low, then this low will be our target. We have a new day opening gap here. Sorry, it's a new week opening gap. So I don't want to see price respecting this new week opening gap again. What I want to see price going below this relative equal low, then this low, hitting our daily fair value gap. That's what I want to see. And on US30, okay, price retraced back to this breaker block again, and this retracement happened inside of our ICT macro 850 to 850 to 910, I guess. That's another ICT macro, and beautiful drop, to be honest. And if you guys are still confused with the OTE that I talked about, you guys can go on my mentor's YouTube channel. There will find he has a series that goes by Forex, and yeah, watch those Forex videos and you will find optimal trade entry. He talks about optimal trade entry there, and it's on his private mentorship 2021 mentorship. He talks about optimal trade entry there a lot. So you can also watch that if you have those private mentorship videos. Okay, so let's look at dollar. Let's see what dollar's gonna do. The main reason behind the main logic behind me expecting a short is from this daily fair value gap. Okay, That's the daily fair value gap that you see. That's the CB. So we can expect to see a small run towards the sell side. I'm not expecting a big run, but a small run that will clear out these relative equal lows that we have here. We'll fill this gap. That's what I'm expecting to see. Okay, until we do something about these lows and in this price fractal, I'm not expecting dollar to push higher. But it's a news day. Okay, I may be wrong, I may be completely wrong, so don't rely on my analysis. I'm doing my own analysis. So if I'm wrong, it doesn't bother me, because that's the business. Okay, in business you will not get a good customer that pays good every day. Okay, you will get a good customer once in a while, and you want to keep those customers. You want to keep those customers repeatedly coming back to you again and again. Okay, so I'm expecting to see a run below these lows here, and on US30 you can see that price dropped beautifully from our small breaker block. Okay, that's a small breaker block which is inside of our ICT macro. 850 to 1010, 850, at exactly at 850 price hit this breaker block, retraced from this breaker block. So that's beautiful. That's what I like to see. But I was expecting to see this kind of movement, this kind of price action inside of our 820 to 830 macro, but price showed it inside 850 macro. Chetan is saying, no, I meant how do you decide the high and lows? I consider the candle's body, not the wick. Wick is here for distraction, manipulation. Okay, so the candle's body, that's where most of the volume is. So that's the reason whenever I'm marking a breaker block or using a fib, you will always see me using it through candles bodies, not the wick. I don't care about the candle's wick. Candle's body is where most of the volume is and the liquidity. So that's our breaker, that's our target, this is our target, and these lows down here. It's 856. Beautiful setup though. Okay, we didn't took it, but it's a beautiful setup to watch. US100 took these lows, relative equal lows, so that's a SMT. Okay, that's now a SMT with US30 relative equal lows, US100 took these relative equal lows. Okay, so that's a SMT. But on US500 ES, if I drop down to ES, you can see ES still has these relative equal lows left, so we can expect to see a run below this low soon. That's what I'm expecting to see. So I'm gonna put an alert here. Dollar moving towards the buy side again, huh? Perfect example of optimal trade entry level being used. You can see that here, beautiful rejection from 0.62 level. So it works. Okay, you can make a whole trading model from optimal trade entry. You can only execute once price retraces back to the optimal trade entries, and you can take those entries. You can consider that. Okay, that's also a high probability setup. On US30, you can see the price generated relative equal lows. So this run, I'm not expecting to see this run going above this candle here. That's a bearish order block. I'm expecting to see price going below, coming below again, and going below this level here, 33,212. That's the level, and ultimately our target is below these lows. Okay, and that's the inversion. I'm not expecting to see price going above this inversion. It can come up, hit these order blocks and then go down, but the ideal scenario for price will be retracing from this inversion. Yeah, I measured the price swing from the candle's body. So this price action that you are watching right now, that's something that you don't see in a normal good day. If price is generating relative equal lows like this, it will just run towards these lows aggressively. A lot of relative equal lows, a lot of sell side. Okay, US100 delivered -2 standard deviation from the measurement that I showed you guys. I measured this swing high. Okay, why this swing high? Why not this one? Why not this one? Because this is the swing that took liquidity from here, okay, hit our BPR and generated breaker block. So that's the reason. Because of this swing high, that's the highest, took out liquidity from these levels, and there's no swing high that goes above this swing high. Okay, if suppose this price fractal is above this swing high, then I would have considered these as to project standard deviation, but that's the reason I'm gonna use this one, and I used it in front of you, and you can clearly see that price did hit our -2 standard deviation projection beautifully. -2 standard deviation beautifully delivered. US500 50-minute chart, we are still expecting, I'm still expecting to see a run below these lows, but this choppiness, I don't like it, to be honest. That's the reason I prefer to tape read rather than forcing a trade idea in these red news days. If I see something that is obvious and very clean, only then I'll take it, only then I'll put the risk. Relative equal high, so yeah, let's see if price takes it out. Price took it out. Look at the manipulation. Price generating relative equal lows again and again and again. It's waiting for time to deliver. Romeo saying 850 works better than 830 macro. Based on what data you are saying that to me? Because right now, Romeo, I can prove you wrong. If I go back to the past price behavior, at 850 macros, most of the time price consolidates. Okay, Romeo talking about the 850 macro that he tried on ES. So let's look at ES. Let's see what 850 macro provided us on ES. 850 macro, ESM, 3-minute chart, nothing at 850. Okay, this contract expired. There's no setup at 850. There's a breaker block that I see, but I will not consider this breaker block. Let's look at it yesterday. What happened inside our 850? $830. Okay, that's a breaker block, and I was watching it yesterday. I was targeting this BPR on 50-minute chart, and you can see that this breaker block got activated at 8:45, so you can consider at 850 price retrace back to this breaker block, drop below, and if you drop down to like 1 minute chart, you can take a trade from this 850 macro. Like you can target 2R. 2R is easily gettable from this macro here. Yeah, but this macro comes with relative equal high, not that high probability, but if it's working for you, that's good. But what I found is like 850 at 850 to 910, the price manipulates a lot. So price came up all the way up, hit our breaker block again. This is our 1 minute breaker block. Price hit it again. So let's see if price retraces back or not. If it's not retracing and suppose it's consolidating here, we can expect to see a run towards the sell side at 9:30. Okay, it depends on a person's personality. You may find breaker block not working for you, but for us it's working. You may find 820 macro not working for you, but it's working for me. So yeah, it depends on how you are using it. If it's working for you, that's good. We all come here to make money. Okay, if you're making money with that, then that's good. You are right. A lot of choppiness. Okay, so this retracement that you saw right now in this breaker block, in a normal day I don't expect, or I don't want to see a retracement like this again in our breaker. Okay, if price is generating relative equal lows like it did here, this is a low, new low, relative equal low, then I like to see price coming down, closing candles body below the breaker block and aggressively providing liquidity below these lows. Okay, that's what I expect to see from a breaker block. But here you saw it, price did respect this breaker block. That's if you are trading from this breaker block, or if you took it 2R from this breaker block, is easy. Your stop loss, you can put it above this swing high, above this candles body, target 2R. You can easily get 2R from this retracement. Stop loss above here, 2R. Okay, but you can do this all the day. If you are following risk management, I believe that you can be profitable. But there's something like revenge trading. Suppose you lost this trade here, right? Or you did something wrong. Suppose your stop loss was too narrow, price came up, hit your stop loss, then you will enter again. Okay, so you will keep pushing the button, you will do revenge trading. So those things are for like beginners, and yeah, it takes a lot of time to get out of those zones. Okay, like pushing the button, taking revenge trade. So the people who do revenge trade, they don't actually believe that that their setup will repeat, or they don't know when their setup will repeat. Here, that's the IOFED. I'm just gonna close this inversion right now. That's the IOFED, institutional order flow entry drill. Now I wanna see price aggressively delivering towards sell side. Relative equal lows. Suppose I took this trade, there will be a partial. Let's look at US 500, and they both generated relative equal low again. So all of this retracement that you were seeing, okay, like in a normal day we expect to see price clearing out all those relative equal lows. The retracement that you were seeing here is because of the high impact news. Okay, the red folder news, they do something with the algo and algo becomes choppy. Algo delivers choppy, sloppy price action in those days. Okay, so another frequently asked question, I will answer that question. a lot of folks ask me like, Hydra, how long it will take me to master breaker block? Okay, it can take like 2 years for you. It can take like 6 months, 2 months. Okay, it depends on you, how you are trading, and it depends on the price action. Every month the price action changes based on the seasonality. If you don't know about that, I will suggest you to go back and watch our mentor's core content. Okay, there he talks about the seasonality. Every month price action changes, algo changes. Okay, like suppose last month in January, do you guys remember December? On December there was like very few setup. January was really good. February again it was hard for me to trade. March again that was really good. So it depends. Okay, so the main thing is like the holy grail is you and your risk management. It's not a setup. Always keep that in mind. A holy grail is not your setup, it's you and the risk management. If you're following risk management, ultimately in the long run you will be profitable. If you're not, you won't be profitable. So price is retracing back. That's our mitigation block. So a retracement from this mitigation block again, that's what I'm expecting to see. US500 lower low here is still not a SMT. I will not consider this low as a SMT. As price is generated relative equal low again at these levels. Look at this candle's body comes in at, look at here. This candle's body comes in at 41.77. This candle's low comes in at 41.77. This candle's low comes in at 41.77. Just by a tick, these are like different from each other. These are still relatively equal lows, so I'm expecting to see a run below these lows. And after price takes out this relative equal low, look from where price can reverse, or if this drop will be a continuation at a 950 macro. US30 perfectly hit our mitigation block here. That's our mitigation block. That's not a breaker block. A breaker, it would have been, I would consider this as a breaker block if price went above this swing high, but it didn't. So that's the reason I'm considering this as a mitigation block. What is a mitigation block? A failed breaker block. That's a mitigation block. Yeah, it can also be called as a failed order block. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that if you can identify these levels in live price action. Okay, the name, it doesn't matter. It's there. Like the thing that I call breaker block to retail, that's a break and retest. Okay, so the name doesn't matter. You can still be profitable if you are using break and retest, but it gets detailed, a lot more detailed with ICT concept. Okay, ICT did it in a way that he made everything a model. Wow, this drop, beautiful drop, aggressive drop towards the sell side. US500 also took this low, so our relative equal lows that I was hoping to target, hoping to trade, it just got delivered. On ES, you can see the price cleared out this relative equal low. So now we'll look from where price can reverse. Okay, why I think it can reverse? Because of the relative equal highs that it generated throughout this whole period, throughout the delivery towards the sell side, it generated relative equal low. sorry, relative equal high, a lot of relative equal highs above all these candles here. There's strong buy side liquidity. Okay, so price may not revisit these levels today, but it can, and that's what I'm expecting this week. Price clear out these relative equal highs, but we'll see. We'll see what it does. Beautiful rejection from this bearish order block from 50-minute chart. Right, we were expecting this drop, but I was expecting this drop by taking a setup. Price didn't provided me a setup. Price did provided me a setup on when I took this trade by following this inversion. Okay, but what price did, it retraced a little bit higher, then it dropped. So my whole analysis was correct. Just that I was not able to push the button. It's okay. That's our breaker block. Okay, so now you know like how to see a small breaker block. As long as price hitting a higher time frame PD array, like if I take you guys on a higher time frame, that's the order block. Okay, that's a consecutive series of order block from 5-minute chart, and these order blocks are in premium. So if you measure it from this swing high to this low, these order blocks will come in premium, and you can see that makes this order blocks as a premium PD array. So when I say like you should always consider higher time frame narrative, I'm not specifically saying 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, not that. If you are a scalper like me, then 5-minute chart is a higher time frame for you. Then 50-minute chart is a higher time frame for you. And what do you see here? On 5-minute chart, price came up, hit these order blocks, then went down, right? Hit the premium PD array, and at the same time when it hit the premium PD array, it generated breaker block here. So what I did wrong is like I should have waited for price to come up in the premium zone and then look for a setup, right? I looked for a setup from the discount zone based on this swing, and yeah, it's okay. But that's what I did wrong. In future, I'll try to be more patient and let price offer a little bit more buy side liquidity. I saw this relative equal highs, also this fair value gap, but anyway, I wasn't expecting price to come up here. And if you look a little bit closer, you will see another breaker block here, higher high, new higher high. So these consecutive down close candles becomes our breaker block. Price respected this breaker block here, came up, took orders, then dropped down. So breaker block is everywhere. That's the reason I made it my model. Okay, I can trade with fair value gap, I can trade with volume imbalance, new week opening gap, new day opening gap, all of that. But my most high probability model is breaker block. That's what this model gives me confidence to take trade. A fair value gap, it's okay if it's your trading model, but that's how I trade, by using breaker block most of the time. Okay, you will see me taking trades using inversion on all that stuff, but breaker block is like the most high probability model for me. Price is still going towards the sell side. Let's see where it's going. Okay, this is our hourly fair value gap. Okay, price is inside of this fair value gap, and when I started my stream, I told you guys that if price is retracing lower, we can target this fair value gap, and in these relative equal lows, we can measure this fair value gap and target the midway of this fair value gap, and price delivered it without giving me a setup that I can take. The consequent encroachment, mean, threshold, whatever, midway is delivered here. So how far price can go towards the sell side, right? We do have relative equal lows here. That's our major sell side liquidity. Okay, that will be ideal scenario for price to come and then reverse after providing liquidity below this low, then this low, and then this low. If I zoom in a little bit more, you will see that there's a fair value gap that is unfilled for price. So price can also reverse from this fair value gap. On 4-hour chart, there's an inversion, so I will take consideration of this inversion rather than marking the hourly fair value gap. I think dollar is moving towards the buy side, right? Dollar is not. So the folks who was watching this movement, this price fractal, in their eyes they were thinking about a higher time frame target, right? They didn't took consideration of these relative equal lows. If they like took it, then they would have like told me, okay, after we took out these relative equal lows, then we can consider to see a run towards the buy side. But some people on chat that like they were saying like it will run higher. Why? That's a relative equal high. Price was aggressively providing buy side liquidity, and we are now inside of a higher time frame PD area. That's a CB from higher time frame, okay, from the daily chart. Equal high price delivered a major level of buy side liquidity. This relative equal high, most of the buy side liquidity was above this high. So once price took it, I was expecting to see a run towards the sell side, as I told you guys. And that's our breaker block, okay. I want to see price closing a candle body below this breaker block and then going towards the sell side. Our target will be this fair value gap, which is on discount. And if dollar is not manipulating with indices, then if dollar is dropping, we can expect to see a run towards the buy side on indices. And we do have equal high on indices, okay, a lot of equal high. If you look at ES and all your other charts, you will find it. So I do see a breaker block here on 50-minute chart. Lower low, new lower low. These up close candles becomes our breaker block, and as price is retracing now from this breaker block, I'll take consideration of this breaker block and we'll see like if price is respecting it or not. We do have targets above these candles high, okay. There's a lot of relative equal high. So this breaker block that I outlined from the hourly chart, I will not consider it anymore, as we have relative equal highs above it. We do have a volume imbalance here, so I'm expecting to see a run in this volume imbalance again. That's our buy side liquidity here. That's the internal buy side liquidity. Can anyone tell me on chat why I'm saying it as an internal buy side liquidity? Why I'm using that word internal? Do you guys know? If you know, let me know in the chat. So that's a discount PD area, discount higher time frame PD area, okay? Keep that in mind. I'm saying higher time frame, okay? When I say higher time frame, a lot of folks like think about 4-hour, daily chart, then weekly chart. No, when I'm saying higher time frame, those are higher time frame. Yeah, you are right, but me, I'm referring to 15-minute, 5-minute time frame. That's a higher time frame discount PD area. So I'm outlining this for the folks who like find hard to identify a correct PD area. So it's easy. Whatever price shows you in the current price section, that's what you mark. You forget about what price did in past price behavior. Like, I'm not thinking about what price did here, right? There's a lot of unfilled fair value gap. Am I talking about this? No. To me, to talk about this price will have to come up here. I'm trading this price fractal right now, so I'll only consider this price fractal. Whatever above I have, I don't care, okay, because price is not here, price is here. So I'll consider these levels, and these levels will be my long-term bias, okay. These levels, these unfilled fair value gap will be useful for my long-term bias, but for my short-term trading from 8 o'clock till 11, that's the price fractal that I'll consider. So that's our discount, higher time frame discount PD array. Look at the retracement. I don't like this retracement, okay. I don't like this week, so a price might just want to revisit this week when dollar generated week like this, okay. This candle, if you guys remember, I told you guys that this week I don't like this week. I told you, and I told you guys that price might want to revisit this week, and you can see the price did here. Why did I told you guys that I don't like this week? When price retraces from a level aggressively, what it's doing is like it's generating emotion inside the retail traders. Retail will think, okay, price is retracing from a level after taking out the liquidity, so we should sell right now, okay. So the retails, all the retails, they saw this aggressive movement on lower time frame. That was an aggressive movement, okay, aggressive retracement towards the sell side. They were selling here. What algo did at the very next candle, if you watch, this candle opened higher, okay. So all the retails, impulsive trader who push their button here, they put their stop loss above here, okay, or suppose above here, somewhere here at this level. And what algo did, algo at this candle came up, took out all the stops, okay. At the very next candle, so you can see price is delivering towards the sell side. So that's how it is. And when price does a big retracement, if a fast retracement, aggressive retracement, just let it leave, okay. Don't be a part of it if your analysis is not strong. If your analysis is strong, I will still suggest you to let it go, wait for some moment, and then you will find a clean setup. So that's the same thing happening on US30. That's a big week, okay. Price might not revisit this week, but from my experience, I saw price revisiting these weeks again when price generates a big week. Like, look at the past price behavior. This is a big week, right? So all the retails, what they're doing right now, they're buying here. So what this candle did, it went lower, cleared out a lot of stops, retail stops. So that's how a price does it, okay. You will have to look at price like this. Big retracement, right? Big retracement, big week, a lot of buyers here. Price came down, hit their sell stop, and to us, right, to ICT, we ICT trader, when we see a big week, we measure it like this, and we take consideration of the consequent encroachment of any big week. You can see that price came down, hit the consequent encroachment, then show the retracement. At this candle, consequent encroachment respected. This candle, upper quadrant respected. So the quadrant and the consequent encroachment, the midway level matters. So if I put the same thing, if I do the same thing with this candle's week, okay, this candle is not closed yet, so the consequent encroachment comes in at here. So I would like to see price hitting the upper quadrant or the consequent encroachment. That will be the ideal scenario for price to reverse. And we are inside of our macro. We don't have a breaker block yet, okay? So don't confuse this candle as breaker block. It's not a breaker block, it's an order block. So this gray shaded box that you see, that's our hourly fair value gap. BC hourly. And if I measure this BC like I do, from this low to the high, where do you see the midway? The midway is here. price came down. Our ideal buy happens from the midway of a fair value gap. Always remember that. Okay, IOFED, that's like an aggressive buy. You cannot take part in that. IOFED, if price is coming down in the midway of a fair value gap, that will be ideal scenario for you to buy. And you can see that that's a beautiful aggressive retracement. Price is not giving us a chance to execute today, right? Anyway, that's our higher time frame breaker block. I wanted to see another breaker block forming inside this higher time frame breaker block, and it didn't. I do see a breaker block inside this price fractal, but my narrative is telling me not to consider this breaker block. What my narrative is telling me to consider this relative equal high. Okay, this will work as a strong level of buy side liquidity for price at 920 to 930. We are inside 930, just 1 minute after 930. So I want to see price coming up, hitting these relative equal highs, which is our major level of buy side liquidity. Sorry, internal buy side liquidity. And you can see that price just that's the reason I told you I didn't like this retracement at this candle, right? Price came up, hit this fair value gap, now it's moving towards the sell side aggressively. Wow. So what price is doing is leaving these relative equal highs and all these levels clean for the high impact news. So I'll do tape reading till 10 o'clock, and we'll see like how price delivers. I think that's our BPR, right? From the 4-hour chart. That's our inversion fair value gap. Yeah, that's an inversion from 4-hour chart. So what I'm doing is I'm marking every possible price fractal for price to reverse. Okay, every possible zones for price to reverse. So we'll just wait and see what price does. On Nasdaq did some good price action today compared to US30. Nasdaq did really well. Nasdaq came down. Okay, generator left this. Nasdaq left these relative equal lows. Nasdaq cleared out this low, but this relative equal low is still untouched. I think that's a SMT, right? Yeah, it's a SMT with other pairs. This candle's low comes in at 13768. This candle's low 13768. So these are relatively equal lows. So price is not respecting our breaker block, and it will hunt the equal high here. Price is really volatile today, right? Suppose if your analysis is wrong and you are trading, your stop loss I think won't work, or even if it's working, you will be like in a big loss. Right? So that's another big wick. So I'll measure it. So what price did here is like it retraced back from this breaker block, but before it did retrace, it took out a lot of stops here. So our marking was correct, right? This is the higher time frame breaker block from the 50-minute chart. Price respected it. This week, just ignore this week. What I'm doing right now, I'm looking for a setup for 950 macro, and I don't see anything. It's just like confusing to me as price left relative equal lows here. It generated SMT, but me, I'm not a SMT trader. I don't most of the time I don't take trades based on SMT. I do see SMT, but other than that I don't see anything. I think on lower time frame, 1 minute time frame, we do have a breaker block here. Yes, but for that we'll have to rely on the higher time frame low, new lower low. So suppose on 1 minute time frame a swing low is not clear to you, then you can drop down to like the lower time frame, higher time frame, and you'll find a clean swing low like I did here. Swing low, new swing low. So these up close candles becomes our breaker block. I'm not gonna execute from this breaker block, but I think price is respecting it. Price did not retrace back to this candle's body, but it did to the candle's wick. An ideal scenario in a breaker block for price to hit the candle's body, okay? That's what you want to see, not the candle's wick. That's not an ideal scenario. That's not your high probability buy. It's not. Your high probability buy will happen from these candles bodies. Suppose this week right here hit this candle's body, then I would have like be confident to tell you guys that will be like our draw on liquidity, but it's aggressive. US30 manipulating a lot of manipulation before the news. So we're just gonna sit still and we'll see like what the 9:45 news delivers, and after that I think we can look for a setup, but not now. Dollar again. So dollar revisited our hourly BC, and on 50-minute chart dollar closed the candle's body below this breaker block. So I want to see dollar remaining heavy towards the sell side, and our last line of defense to expect lower prices on dollar will be this fair value gap here. Okay, I don't want to see price coming up and going above this fair value gap. If it wanna come up, it can hit it like IOFED, it can do that, and there I'm expecting to see a strong reversal. This retracement from this fair value gap to me is a manipulation. All of this retracement that you see here, I want to see dollar dropping and hitting this 50-minute unfilled fair value gap here. So I'm not trading dollar, I'm just like building my narrative using dollar. Look at the manipulation before the news, right? Our consequent encroachment of this big wick is here, and price is yet to hit it. I want to see what price does after hitting the consequent encroachment here. Okay, a drop inside this breaker is happening, and it's outside of our macro. Relative equal highs, clean target. Okay, so the trade idea, I'll not take this trade, but I'll tape read it. Trade idea will be something like this. Okay, stop loss below this low, target here. Let's see what price does. It's not a high probability setup, so don't push the button. We have a high impact news, and as you can see, it failed this trade idea, right? So that's the reason before the high impact news you should be nimble with your analysis. Okay, you should let price do whatever it wanna do. Just don't push the button. Watch how it delivers. And you can see that price came down, right? Suppose you put your stop loss here. Usually me, I'll put the stop loss above in the upper quadrant, so my stop loss would have been got hit right now. But you can see the price is respecting our breaker block, but with a lot of volatility, with a lot of volume. So that's the price action that you are seeing right now. That's our ideal model, okay? Not this retracement like this, but a shallow retracement, a small retracement. That's what we consider. That's a unicorn. Fair value gap inside breaker block, that's a unicorn. US30 is just chopping around, right? Not US30 is just like manipulating. And at news, I want to see price delivering towards the buy side, okay? That's what I want to see. Price delivered sell side liquidity aggressively before the news. And keep in mind that inside this equal high, we have a BPR from hourly chart. Sorry, 4-hour chart. So if price is really bullish and it wanna hunt this relative equal high, it will have to go above this BPR. If it's retracing from this BPR, we can expect to see price remaining heavy towards the sell side. Paul is asking, sorry if you already answered this question, but do you respect the higher time frame inefficiencies like fair value gap, order block, breaker block more than lower time frame? Yes. Yes, and my best setup forms inside of a higher time frame fair value gap. Suppose there's a 4-hour BC and I'm expecting to see a short from that BC. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop down to the lower time frame. Suppose that BC is on 4-hour chart. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop down to like 3-minute, 1-minute chart, and I'm gonna look a breaker block forming inside that 4-hour BC, okay, on the lower time frame. So that's how I trade. That's gonna be like my high probability setup if a breaker block is forming inside of a higher time frame fair value gap. I hope you got your answer, Paul. If not, you can ask me like if you're still confused. So do you guys see how easy it is to identify a breaker block if you have a correct narrative, right? Don't be a pattern trader. Am I a pattern trader here? No, I'm not completely relying on a setup here. I'm building a narrative. I'm not like taking consideration of other breaker block, like a breaker block here, higher high, new higher high. Price is retracing from this breaker block, but I don't want to see price retracing from it. I want to see price going up and taking orders, clearing out liquidity from here. That's what I'm favoring. So a lot of people are gonna short from here, from this breaker block again. Don't do it. wait for the time and wait for the clean setup with your narrative to present itself. Only then push the button. That's a failed fair value gap inversion. Mark it, outline it on time. I want to see price respecting this inversion, and it didn't. So 1 minute before the high impact news, breaker block got hit again. Here, price close a candle body above this breaker block. At the very next candle we execute. Here, price retraced. Our stop loss will be below the breaker block here. So yeah, I'm expecting to see 9 PMI news delivering here from this breaker block. Cliff is saying price won't respect anything few minutes before the high impact news. It will, but it will be aggressive. Okay, it will move with a lot of volume, but it will respect. It still respected this inversion. Okay, but it went below this inversion. That's what I was not expecting to see, but it's a high impact news scenario, so yeah, we know how it is. US30 moved from our wick that I outlined from the upper quadrant. It didn't hit the consequent encroachment, and it's moving aggressively towards the buy side. Lower low, new lower low, our breaker block here. So if a retracement inside this breaker block is happening inside our inside our macro 950 to 1010, then I'll take this trade. Breaker, lower low, new lower low inside of our higher time frame PD area. Okay, higher time frame breaker block. So focus on how I build the narrative. Outlining a setup is easy. You just draw a couple of lines and then you outline it. That's easy. But building the narrative, that's the main thing. That's where most of you fail. So the trade idea on US30 will be something like this. I still want to see price dropping. Yeah, it dropped, so I'm in. This execution is early. Okay, so if you want to take it, you can. I'm doing it on demo. Fair value gap inside our breaker block makes it unicorn. So this breaker block is from 3-minute chart. Okay, so don't confuse yourself with the 1-minute price action. That's a 2.16 hour trade that will target the relative equal high above here. So let's see what it does. Okay, that's an early entry before our macro starts. I got the confirmation from this breaker block. Price generated another breaker block inside of a higher time frame breaker block. To me, that's a high probability setup. US100, beautiful delivery, still delivering towards the buy side from this breaker block, but with a lot of choppiness. That's what I don't like to see in a clean day. But anyway, it's happening. And a partial, I'll take a partial in this fair value gap because I'm not trusting this price action here. You know, it's retracing from every PD array. Sometimes it's retracing aggressively, sometimes it's retracing like high resistance liquidity run by doing high resistance liquidity run. So I will take a partial above this candle's high, this high, which is inside of a 3-minute fair value gap. So a partial done. TP will be above this candle. Our stop loss will be below this fair value gap. Okay, this is the fair value gap. Fair value gap here, which is a unicorn. C-O-R-N, unicorn, and 15 tick of stop loss, 54 ticks of target. Okay, that's a very profitable. That would have been a very profitable trade for me if I supposed took it on my live funds, but I didn't. I'm more patient than you guys think. Okay, I do know that my setup will repeat. So what's the reason behind me getting impulsive? You may not see a breaker block. You may not yet be able to outline a breaker block, but I am. I can outline a breaker block correctly. So I do know that this setup will repeat again and again. So what's the point of being impulsive? And when it repeats, I make money then. So this retracement I don't like. That's the reason I told you guys that I'm gonna take a partial here because of this price action, which is like retracing from every PD array. CB 3-minute. Fair value gap, that's IOFED. IOFED. So mix risk management with this model, with this trading model. Okay, I had a losing trade here, right? So all of the losses that I did here will be mitigated by this trade here. That's the magic. So delivered, you saw a beautiful 2-hour trade that I outlined in front of you, and with buy building narratives. Okay, we did took a losing trade here, but we mitigated our loss here. Beautiful execution that you saw here, right? I waited, I didn't execute it at this candle. What I told you guys that I want to see price retracing at this candle here again inside of this breaker block, as we had a fair value gap here and the beautiful execution that you saw. And look at Nasdaq now. What do you see on Nasdaq? Price delivered beautifully by respecting our breaker block. Nasdaq, beautiful delivery. From this breaker block. So you can take a screenshot if you want to journal. I'm gonna journal these trades. If you guys enjoyed my analysis so far, can I expect to see a thumbs up from you? Can you guys do that? 400 people watching and we are yet to reach 200 likes. Can you guys hit the thumbs up button? Can you guys do that for me? No hindsight here, okay folks? Like everyone, you can fake your profits, you can fake trades, you can fake a FX book record, but you cannot fake what I'm doing here live in front of you. It cannot be faked. Most of you won't understand most of the stuff that I talk about because you guys are still noob. So you'll have to get out of that range. But if you do understand, then yeah, that's how I do it. I keep it simple. I don't mark everything on chart. I mark only the things that make sense to me. If you follow the risk management with this breaker block model, it will be very hard for algo to put you in loss. Don't trust me. Do it on your funded account. Do it on your like live funds. The way I trade, I'm trading on my live funds. So every partial that I take here, like they pay me really good, okay? And I can withdraw that money. If you are trading on your funded account, what I'm gonna suggest you to do, if you enter in a trade, don't take a partial, okay? Because it affects the risk to reward ratio. I'm using a funded next account recently. They gave me like a 100k account, so I'm using that. And what I saw, like if I take a partial, that affects my risk to reward ratio. Like really, it affects the risk to reward ratio. So what I'm gonna say, if you guys are using this model, don't take a partial, just let your trades run. Once like price moves in your favor, like suppose I will take a partial here, what you can do is like you can mitigate your loss, or you can put your loss in entry, okay? Or you can put your stop loss below the fair value gap. So that will mitigate a lot of loss for you if you're trading a funded account. So I'll suggest you to trade like that, by mitigating your loss by not taking a partial, because it does affect a lot on trading on funded accounts. Once you are funded, you can take a partial, but once you are not, you are doing challenges, I will suggest you to just let the trades run. And we are inside of our macro, okay? I push the button here before our macro with higher time frame confirmation, right? So your high probability, that's a tip for you guys before I close. That's a tip, like your high probability breaker block setup will form inside of higher time frame fair value gap, inside of higher time frame breaker block. Suppose this breaker block that I outlined, suppose this is the 4-hour breaker block, okay? Just suppose. So what I'm gonna do, once price closes a candle's body above the 4-hour or below the 4-hour breaker block, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop down to like 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute chart, and there I will look for another breaker block to form inside that 4-hour breaker block or 4-hour daily fair value gap, okay? Whatever it is, I'm talking about the higher time frame, 1 hour, 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly. I'm not gonna push the button just by looking at the higher time frame breaker block. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait to see another breaker block form inside the higher time frame breaker block. That's how I do it. And you saw it today. It's a live example. Just ignore the choppiness here, okay? It was before the news, and we know it happens. Before the news, what price did? Price generated a lot of relative equal highs. Price came down, hit our 50-minute breaker block, higher time frame discount period that I marked here, and inside there, did I push the button once price hit the higher time frame breaker block? No, I waited to see if price generates another breaker block inside higher time frame breaker block, and it did here. I'm on 1 minute time frame, lower low. On 3 minute chart, it makes more sense. Lower low, new lower low, these up close candles becomes the breaker block, okay? So suppose you have a lot of up close candles and you are confused like where to put your stop loss, look at 3 minute time frame. That's a unicorn. From my experience, I'm telling you, 3 minute time frame is way more effective than 1 minute time frame. If you ask me, like suppose HYDRA, if you have a condition, in your life you will never be able to trade on any other time frame, so what time frame you will choose? I'll choose 3 minute time frame, okay? So that's how it is. I'm still gonna wait to see like this macro delivering. If price is still if price is generating a breaker block, I wanna see it fail, okay? I don't wanna see price delivering towards the sell side right now, as we have these relative equal high, these highs. So I'm not gonna push the button in any breaker block that will hunt sell side liquidity. So if I talk about bias, okay, I get a lot of question about bias, and if you guys find it hard to decide the bias, when I started my stream, my bias was to hunt sell side liquidity, right? I wanted to see this low getting taken out. Price took it. Once price took it, what did I did here? I went to the higher time frame. I was marking higher time frame levels from where price can reverse. I was doing that, okay? I wasn't getting impulsive. Okay, price just delivered sell side liquidity here, so let's buy. No, I wasn't doing that. I was going to higher time frame. I was marking higher time frame PD arrays, just like I did here. And yeah, I changed my bias once price retraced in the breaker block to bullish. I executed here. So me, once price gets done with one mission, okay, like suppose that's a target, once price delivers it, I change my bias. I wait to see price taking out orders from higher time frame PD arrays, then I execute on the lower time frame by changing my bias continuously. And I'm gonna be closing here, but before I do, I'll review our yesterday's trades, a couple of trades that I took yesterday. And those trades are like talkable. I didn't talk about those trades yesterday, so it's the same demo account. My execution was here. When look at the time window, the execution that I did, it was outside of our macro. Okay, there are other macros. I'm not gonna share it with you all by saying it like specifically, but there are other macros that run outside of the macro that I already told you guys. Okay, so when you see me executing outside of our macro, I'm executing on another macro that you don't know. So I'm just gonna give you guys a hint. Those macros work as effective as it does on 820 to 830. This is a lower low, new lower low. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about the higher time frame PD arrays, but there was a higher time frame PD array that I executed on. And if you are interested in that, you can go on my Telegram channel and you can look at yesterday's executions that I did. I shared the whole narrative and everything before everything happened. Lower low, new lower low, relative equal high here, relative equal high, relative equal high, relative equal high. So I do have target, and it goes with my trading model, and I do have a inversion here, a fair value gap, sorry, CB here. So what I saw here, lower low, new lower low, macro started, executed inside the macro, partial here when price reached premium, here partial, partial, inside this fair value gap, partial, a lot of partial. Look at this here, another breaker block form. Okay, why am I talking about this setup? Because there was two breaker block that formed. What a noob will do, he will sell here. Do you guys see me selling here? Okay, all of these is partial. My stop loss was below this breaker block, price came down, hit my stop loss, and I'm out. Execution levels if you are interested in that. So all of that, there's like, I was taking partials, I wasn't selling here. So some of you like doubt 5 contracts, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all of that good stuff. So that's the execution. Okay, so what a noob will do, he will think like, okay, now that price delivered towards the buy side and hit this fair value gap, I'll short now, but price still has relative equal highs left. So when you see relative equal high and relative equal low that price left, don't push any button against that. Okay, target those, and suppose if I hold it, price aggressively move towards the buy side here. Right, beautiful delivery. Now I'm gonna take you to US30. Yesterday I did some good trades, took some good trades using other macros on US30 too. So let's find that out. Where is it? Back and forth trading. That's what I'm gonna show you. The same account that I use always in my live stream, the paper trading account. Here execution here when other macro started here, another macro started here, short from this breaker block, buy in a higher time frame breaker block. Okay, if you drop down, if you go into my Telegram feed, you will see me sharing trade ideas. Yesterday it was a breaker block trade from 15-minute chart. Okay, so I'll show you guys how I watched it. .50-minute chart, lower low, new lower low, So this low, when price generated this low was hitting our new week opening gap. That's our new week opening gap. Price took this low, at the same time price hit this low here, right? So it generated another lower low. So these up close candles here becomes our breaker block, these up close candles. So I marked it, that's our higher time frame breaker block. Okay, so the execution was made based on the higher time frame breaker block. And do you see a fair value gap here inside this breaker block? Yeah, so that makes that breaker block a unicorn. So what I did, I dropped down to the 1 minute time frame. I'll get out of the replay mode so you can see my execution. Execution was here. Stop loss, where did I put my stop loss? Execution was here, and stop loss was below this candle slow. Okay, this candle slow comes in below the fair value gap that I showed you guys on 50-minute chart. So the stop loss was below the 50-minute fair value gap. Execution was here, no partial. Okay, target here, price hit the target. Okay, my order got filled here, and you can see beautiful delivery. It's more than a 2-hour trade, so you can do that with breaker block model. Okay, another trade. Okay, back and forth trading all day, higher high, new higher high, breaker block, relative equal lows, price generated target. Okay, keep in mind, without target you do not execute. Execution here, once price closed candle's body below here. Okay, this is our breaker block. If I outline it for you, I did everything yesterday on my Telegram group, so if you remember, it's there, and I did it live. Okay, you may see like, okay, this guy is like talking in hindsight. No, when price closed the candle's body below here, I shared the trade idea with you all on Telegram as a signal. Stop hunt, new higher high. You can also say it as a turtle soup. So turtle soup here, breaker block here, price closed the candle's body below the breaker block, price retraced back to the breaker block. Where is my stop loss? Above the breaker block here. So this retracement here was aggressive here, done here below this low. So all of that trade that you see here inside, it was inside of the macro that I use, other than like the macros that I already shared with you. So when I release the mentorship, that's the time when I will release the crypto macros. That's the time I will release other macros with you all. But if you look at my execution, you already know what macros I'm talking about. So that will be it for today, guys. I'm done for today. That's it, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we have news at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So we can trade 8:30 macro, 9:20 macro, 9:50 macro. We can trade 3 macro. And that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed my tape reading session here, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Be safe, peace, take care.